Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am CyberRob. Now, I have always loved tech. It has been a passion of mine. I love taking things apart. I like fixing things. And in the early 2000s, decided, as a young 20-year-old, decided, hey, this might be an industry that I might like to do, make it a career. So in about 2005, I was looking around, took a couple of college courses, and a professor said, you know what, it's better if you just get your certifications. And so that's what I did. I went to a technical school, got my A+, got my MCSA, and had a couple of certifications. I was like, okay, let me go into the job market, see if I can find anything. And so, unfortunately, when I jumped in the job market, it could have been the worst time. Because as you guys know, in the recession in the late 2000s, that is where I was trying to compete for an entry-level IT role. And so it was frustrating trying to compete with individuals that have been in the field for many years, definitely had way more experience, way more certifications. And so I pivot. I ended up continue working in security as I always have, then started working with the federal government in 2011. But my level of interest in tech has always been there, tinkering and building PCs. I even launched my own little company where I just helped out family and friends, fixing, repairing, gave advice about, technology in general. Made a couple of bucks here and there, but it never was the same, but still had that itch to make it a career. So during COVID, as most of us were, just kind of, looking around, checking the internet, pretty much not much else to do. I came across cybersecurity and I said, this looks pretty interesting. And I kept digging into it. And as a federal employee, I obviously looked at, were there any opportunities with the federal government? And so I quickly found out that through some requirements, the DoD 8570 and 8140, you needed your Security Plus to be able to work in anything security related for the federal government. So I figured, let me get the Security Plus. And as I was looking at the Security Plus, I realized this was gonna give me a very good foundation, kind of, where to go from here. Because as I was doing my research, I realized, man, there's a lot of things in cybersecurity that I can do. So I figured Security Plus would be the best way to start. It would give me my foundation, and in my point mean the direction of what I wanted to do. So I took a couple of courses. I first started checking YouTube University, as pretty much everyone does, and I came across Professor Messer. Now, for those who don't know him, he is probably the OG of the Trifecta. And for those that don't know what the Trifecta is, basically when you get your CompTIA Plus, Net Plus, and Security Plus, and he actually teaches on YouTube for free. And so it's a great course. If you're looking for a course, it's great. I learned a whole lot. But there was just a couple of things that, I watched the video over and over and it just wouldn't sink in. And something as I always tell most adult learners is that sometimes you gotta probably use some other type of learning tool, whether it be a different instructor or whether maybe reading reference materials, kind of just change it up a little bit. And so I kept looking around, and then I came across another instructor called Andrew Ramdayal, which is really good. And he had a course on Udemy. Now, for those who don't know, Udemy is a learning platform where you can buy courses. And so I purchased this course, don't remember now, it probably was about 20 bucks or so. And I figured 20 bucks is worth the investment. And so I took his course, and he really did help me out with a lot of the key issues that I had. It was just, again, it was a different view of things. The teaching style was different from Professor Messer. And so I really, really enjoyed the curriculum. Again, those two, all this stuff that I'm talking about, I'm gonna put links in the description so that way you don't have to really look for it. You can just click on it and go on these gentlemen's pages so that you guys can see the information for yourself. Again, awesome instructors. Both of those guys are really good. Now, after taking the courses with these two gentlemen, I was like, it was time. It was time to take the plunge and take the test. I got a really good discount on the Security Plus as I took the Google CyberSecurity certification, which gave me I can't remember at the time, but it was quite significant discount. So I took the test and I finally got my Security Plus at the end of 2024. So in October of 2024, I received my certification. I was like, wow, all right, good. I now met the requirement of the DoD and I could, possibly apply for a job. Then I realized I need a little bit more work. I need a little bit more information, couple extra skills to help me along the way. So I came right back to the internet, Google, YouTube University, and I came across two different platforms that were very interesting. And they were both TryHackMe and Hack the Box. Again, these are great platforms if you want to polish up maybe some old knowledge or you want to learn something new. These are really great learning platforms. However, it seemed very confined and I just couldn't find, I would find different ways to do things and the environment seemed a little restricted. And obviously, it's meant to be a little bit restricted only because security concern, you just can't leave settings wide open in their system. So, that was the sandboxes were limited and they kind of wanted you to do it their way, even though there are other ways to get it done, as I've learned. But nonetheless, kept using these services. And later on that year, 2024, after I've gotten my certifications, I came across an interesting program. Well, not a program, it was more like an activity for Christmas. And it was through TryHackMe. It was called Advent of Cyber. And basically what it was actually pretty cool is every day you learn something new and there was a challenge after you've learned something new. And if you finished the challenge, you would get a raffle ticket. And at the end of 25 days, it's like an advent calendar, you get a prize every day. And so when you finished each day or each challenge, you would get a raffle ticket. And then at the end, you would basically earn 25 raffle tickets. And there would be thousands of dollars worth of prizes, free membership. I mean, just tons of stuff. And it was really fun. And what I really did like about it, even though I mentioned earlier how restricted the sandboxes were, is that I got to try out different things. And I tried out activity in the blue team, a red team. We did a little pen testing. And so it was a lot of different things. And one thing that I fell in love with was vulnerability management. I really liked that a lot. Dealing with security endpoints. And I kind of I really want to learn more about this. But again, because of the two platforms being restrictive, I didn't really like it. So I again, back to the internet as always. And then I came across another gentleman called Josh Madakor. And his course was exactly what I was looking for. And the reason why is that, just like I mentioned previously, I don't like to be restrictive. I like to have, access to something. I want to try different ways to get a goal accomplished. So, you just find different ways. And if it doesn't work, well, you find multiple ways of not to do something. But I liked it because he was talking about something in one of his videos called a cyber range. I've never heard of a cyber range. And basically, his course is designed to be in an open environment, which kind of gives you a range of what you can do with it. Now, obviously, there's limits, like always, but you're able to work with enterprise software, which is not something that you get to do a lot in a lot of different learning programs that are out there. Trying to use enterprise software on your own, I tell you, it can cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month. And here I got to use enterprise software like Tenable, like Microsoft Defender for endpoint. I got to work in Azure using VMs, and it was cool. Like I said, this is what I have been looking for. And then on top of that, he has an internship where you get to help out people, and it counts towards you learning all these different things. And now, because his cyber range or his company is an LLC, you can put it as credit towards having an internship so that you can say, hey, I have job experience. And that's important because here's the thing, you can get all the certifications you can, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just basic information. Can you actually do the task? So in his cyber range, you're exposed to so many things. Now, these VMs are also exposed to the internet, and they can be attacked like any other system. So you get organic logs when you're doing threat hunting, which is, phenomenal. It's just a phenomenal course. And so when I jumped into it, I realized that my network knowledge was very weak. And so there were certain things he would talk about, and I'd be like, what? Always constantly Googling things. So I definitely had a trouble with that. There's actually a project where you're working in a cab, which is basically a change advisory board. And basically, when you find vulnerabilities, you sit down with the IT personnel, letting them know, hey, this is what I found, this is what we need to fix. And what I found in those conversations was, even though a lot of that was pre-scripted, I felt like, how would I be able to communicate with a network engineer if I know very little about network? I'm pretty convincing, I'm a good talker, willing and dealing kind of guy. I can convince people, but if I don't know what I'm selling, right? I can't really sell that individual. So I decided I needed to take a step back before I could take 2 steps forward. And so I said, you know what, let me go back into networking. I at first was thinking about getting the network certification, but I decided, let me go through this course and see what was the best action. So when I went back, obviously, I went to the king of the trifecta. Like I told you earlier, I went to Professor Messer, went through his course. It was awesome. But the one thing that I had a problem with his course, and what I've had problem in college courses, and what I've had pretty much trouble is IP and subnetting. They would talk, and all I would hear is the Charlie Brown, wah, 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 and which is something I could just never get. So I said, I use Security Plus. Andrew Ramdayal, I said, let me see, does he have his Network Plus course? And I purchased his course as well. And oh my God, finally, after so many years of reading stuff or watching videos, the way he taught, IP addressing and how he explains subnetting and how all that works. Oh my God, finally, I got it. It was just like instantly the information just jumped in my head. It was just pouring in there. And I was like, holy crap, I've learned so much. And so now I was like, okay, well, I have all this knowledge. This is great. How do I apply this knowledge going forward? And so what I decided was, instead of getting my certifications, since in the world of IT, it's about what you know and how you demonstrate that. You got to be able to show these employers that you can do the task, not that you know ABC and true or false questions, but actually show people that you have, and you can demonstrate the skills that you have. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to upgrade my network. Yes, folks. In my home, I am going to upgrade my network, so I was able to share not only with you guys, but any future employers, the skills that I have in networking and security, right? Cybersecurity, which I will be doing videos as well about cybersecurity and some other things. But I figured to just start off this channel was to kind of start where I am in my journey. And right now in my journey is, to do a network project. I've already got my Security Plus, as I already told you, and I had to take a step back so that I can have a good foundation in networking, because it's very important that you understand networking. As Andrew says in the video, and says it quite often, you can't defend what you don't understand. And going back and understanding network, how it's put together, how information crosses wires is very important, because you have to defend that. And so again, like I said, I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create my own network. I do have one, but it's not as professionally done. I just got a mesh network and that's it. But I'm gonna go into my network panel, run cables possibly, use switches, manage those internet connection, install access points throughout the house, and let's just see how it all works out. I'm also thinking about running a pfSense firewall as well. Again, I have just tons of ideas, but I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna upgrade my network, make it secure and reliable, go from a 1 gig network to 2.5 gig network. Again, I have a NAS that I do move a large file, so I think I need the upgrade in speed. But folks, thank you for staying with me this long. The video is about 50 minutes at this point, maybe a little longer. And again, all the stuff that I spoke about in the video, there will be links in the video description below. Again, these guys' courses are amazing. The cyber range is also amazing. I will put the link in the description for the cyber range, so you can go ahead and look at it yourself and see maybe it might be for you, and so you can advance your career. Again, thank you for being here. If you like this video and would like to know more, or if you really want to come with me on this adventure of mine, please go down this right below this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and then set your bell notification so that you can get any notification for any of my future videos. Thank you guys, and like always, until next time, peace.